Morning, everyone. My name is Patrick McKernan. Welcome back to the old workshop, my YouTube channel. I'm affiliated with the Maker's Path, which is my Patreon site. And this morning, although it's not quite Sunday, a slight confession. I have behind me the lathe. If you're watching this video, you probably have seen a few of the other ones. I got it running, but when I got it, I only had this bit, which is a left-handed cutting bit. It's a brazed carbide, so it's brazed onto a steel shank. There's lots of resources on YouTube, thank God, because I was able to look up a lot of stuff. But I initially did this cut because I didn't have anything else. I cut a small bar of cold rolled steel, and this is a bit of a confession. Although I did it and it cut the steel quite roughly, don't ever do this. Don't use a left-handed bit incorrectly to cut essentially the wrong way. So I was using it in the right-handed direction, and although it worked, it didn't work correctly. A little bit of chatter and whatnot, and probably could have broken this and took a chunk of it in my arm or worse. So yeah, don't mess around with that. I have ordered and received. These are a full set. See them? They're quite cheap. I'm doing this as a learning experience. I'm pretty sure I'll break a few of these. One thing I do know is that you have to prepare them to cut. So I don't know if you can see it on the video. It's not, my lighting in here is not that great, but there's still a bit of the fancy silver paint or whatever that is that they put on it, covering the actual cutting surfaces of this bit. So that actually has to be ground off. I need a diamond wheel or a green wheel or both, and I need a grinder. So what I have going on over here, this is my total confession, and don't repeat this. Don't try this at home. I've got an angle grinder with a general purpose wheel. It may have a diamond wheel, but it's not labeled as such, so it may have the diamond coating in it. I also have a hand file, which I believe has, I don't know how it's bonded on there, but it has some diamond coating as well. So I will very briefly try the grinding wheel, see if that works, very lightly to basically dress these edges and see if I can make it cut. Then I'm going to tune it with this. The last thing I'm going to do is possibly, I think I have a small diamond honing stone that is for my skis, but it should actually help with this. It's basically a diamond stone. So I'll try all three very briefly and just see what works the best. Yeah, I'll turn off the video, and I might video some of it with the GoPro on my head, but using the grinder, the angle grinder, is probably going to be the scariest. So I'll try that first. I'll just lightly touch it and see if it works. I'll probably end up with this and the diamond honing. So I'll get back to you with a little video clip from that. But I wanted to confess that yeah, I got desperate and I tried the other bit. Don't do that. It's a learning curve. Luckily, this old South Bend is very forgiving. Nothing happened. You know what I mean? The chips came off, and I actually have a pretty good facing cut. So yeah. The other bit I have is right-handed, but it looks like some kind of a groove cutter. So I'm learning, and these look like a pretty good set of general bits. So plenty of fun. So that's what I'm doing today, to see if I can get it cutting better. So all right, talk to you in a bit.
Thankfully, they sent me 2 of these identical. But yeah, that's about all I want to do with that. Now, yeah, that's pretty scary. Don't ever do that. It got the paint off. I think it's, it's not a bad idea just to give it a little brushing with that. It more or less just polished it a little. Not really cutting deeply into it, but it's going to be warm probably. Ooh, okay, that's a bit of an edge there. I don't know. Thoughts on that? It doesn't. It's a general purpose grinding wheel that came with the grinder, angle grinder. I have no idea if it has the diamond stone qualities, but it had the wheel itself had a bunch of epoxy on it from the boat, so whatever. Um, it's a grinding wheel. Okay, it's a Ryobi general purpose wheel. So yeah, if anybody owns one of these, you can maybe tell me if you know what this wheel is actually made of. But yeah, that was fun. All right. And now, what do I do with that little file? Here's the file. Okay, the dangerous part's over. All right, I just wanted to try that and see. I don't know if it'll save me any time or what, but it took the paint off. So now I can kind of see what I'm doing. So now, let's just have a look here. I'm just going to clamp it to the bench, I think. Maybe that way. Yep, trigger clamps are your friend. It's essentially a nail file. Hmm. Yeah, I think it's just taking off taking off the coating of the nail file. Hmm. Oh, okay, I better put that away before the ladies figure out what I've done with it. Yep. Man problems. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to go and find my diamond stone. I think it's inside in my old ski pack, so I'll have to find that. All right. So I'm going to turn off the camera, and we'll see if I might just throw it in the thing and see how bad it is. So we'll try that. So turn off the camera and come right back. Okay. It's my tiny little. I don't know if you can see if the camera's angled well enough. My tiny little diamond ski stone. But I'm going to give it a go right now. And I'm left-handed. Okay, well, it's tedious, but that's if you're going to do it by hand, you need a big one of these. You need some kind of a diamond sharpening stone. Cool. Oh, it's going to take me a while. didn't I buy a bench grinder with a diamond wheel? I can't imagine doing this with every one of my bits. Trying to maintain the original angle and not completely fuck it up. Yeah, clean that up. Okay, we can get under the light there. Oh. Well, that's definitely a little sharper. Weird. Okay, I can't believe it might actually work, but we'll see what it's like when I put it on the lathe. If anybody knows any other tips, if they've used a little diamond cutter like this, diamond stone, am I doing it right? Should I be trying something different? It's one-sided. Yeah. On the edge there. I don't want to get too carried away. I just want to make it cut relatively decently. And then I'll try another bit, like one of the more common bit angles. Thinking that's the best way to go with that. Yeah, like that. I do know you have to deal with them when you can't just grab them and cut almost the way I did. I mean, it did cut it, but oh man, those chips are hot. So yeah, it was working. And it didn't sound very nice. It's not a very loud lathe, so when I hear, quote, bad sounds, I'm not happy. So I did see a YouTube video where a guy used a diamond sharpening stone in this sort of fashion. I didn't just invent this, but if anybody really knows if this is effective or if I could improve on it, please leave a comment, because I'm learning as I go, and I didn't get a manual on how to deal with everything. So I do know that I probably should have. Oh wow, okay. So there is some, looks like I'm doing something there, but yeah. Okay. Just need to very lightly work on that surface, I guess. Just lightly. Working on the top surface, that didn't have paint on it, so I'm guessing that's not that big of a deal in terms of it's really the edges, these two cutting edges, that you kind of have to. And now I'm using lighter pressure, sort of essentially trying to hone it. Or temper it, harden it. Okay, you've seen enough of that. I'm going to do a tiny bit more, and then I'll throw it in the tool post, and we'll see how it does. Okay, I've used this live center to try to, roughly center it. Looks pretty close. I'm not going to get too picky right now. Oops, I forgot to place. See, it's always good to unplug and plug your lathe when you're messing around. And I want to thank John, a shout out, who was concerned that I would have trouble reaching the switch if anything went wrong. So he suggested some guys will put it on a post here, which is good. I just don't want it in front. So if I'm working anywhere near the chuck, I can reach this switch with just a body lean. So I agree with him that, yeah, it's probably was a good idea for me to think that through. I kind of didn't, but it's not that far away. I could possibly move it a little closer this way, but yeah, it's a good point he makes. So thank you. So yeah, learning. So oh, safety glasses. Where are they? Aha. Yes. And I do have some alcohol, tobacco, and fire fluid here as a cutting fluid, ATF. That's a joke. But anyway, yeah, I've got some cutting fluid. I think it'll be okay for this. Um, it's probably not the perfect fluid, but it'll definitely cool this shit down. So let's put a couple drops of that on there now. Yeah, just a drop. Just a little bit. I don't want to get too next to that. Okay, yeah, just a bit of fluid. Okay, happiness is a rag. Alright, let's do this. Ooh, and the fluid flies off of there. Okay. Just brushing it. I'm going to bring it out, roll it back. And a tiny more. I'm not really measuring anything. I'm just taking off a little bit at a time. There we go. Ooh, okay. So yeah, it was a bit unevenly cut before. I don't know about this dial, like how to measure. I can't even see it. I need better lighting in here, to be honest. Can't really see the graduation on the dials. Whoa, okay, that's quite a bit. So here we go. This is probably a couple thousandths of an inch. Gonna let go of that dial. Okay, and you see some chips piling up there. I think not only sharpening the bit a little, and the fluid has got to be helping. Let's see what the finish looks like. But yeah, see those ribbings? I don't know if you saw that in the camera, but there's a couple of longer ribbings peel off. Thin. Back that out a bit. I think I should only cut in the direction that the bit is sort of meant to go. So, wow, okay. That's definitely an improvement. No squealies. Who knew? Okay, guys, and I've got like a bit of choss. I don't know what we think of that, but it's definitely like not just single chips. It's more like ribbony. I don't really want to touch that and get metal all over my hands. Let's see, I've got a little chunk of an old bathrobe. That'll be perfect. Just to have a look at what I've got going on here. So yeah, I'll get that off the tool. Yeah, they piled up nice. That wasn't a deep cut or anything. Maybe a thousandth or two, just a bit. And obviously with a small lathe like this, when you're working with cold rolled steel, probably smart to take lighter cuts. So yeah, I did touch the metal, which is probably not smart. Okay, and yeah, everything's not like super burny hot, so. Ooh, okay, that's way better of a finish. Yeah. It's not perfect. You can still see little lines in there, which obviously I would, if this was a finished piece, like something going to someone or a part, I would definitely put a sandpaper or a little bit of an emery cloth type stuff on that. Okay, that's certainly an improvement. I am one step closer to actually properly running this lathe. So, very happy about that cut. That was pretty killer. And I see that my tool's just off center. What do you call that? Rake, I guess. There's a different angles you can use for different ideas. But yeah, let's just see if I can straighten it, go sort of like 90 to the piece. That's pretty good. It probably moved when I tightened it. But I was more concerned about the actual height of that cutting point. So generally, if I was using high-speed steel, I don't want to crank that too tight. If I was using just high-speed steel, there is a relief angle here, and usually underneath there's a relief angle, which there is one here, but it's very slight on the carbide. This is brazed on there. But I do know that you want a bit of a clearance this way and this way, so that when the chips come off, they have a place to go. So I'm not sure if that was why they were kind of piling up on the top of the carbide, but again, that was definitely some nicer cutting. And yeah. Wish I had a Q-tip or a tiny paintbrush. So once again, I need to I got a bunch of random things in here. I just thought maybe I'd find it. Okay. We'll use the very scientific method. Now, this is where I'm very grateful I don't have this kind of within reach. I can wander around through here without fear of bashing that, because it is still plugged in. So although I agree with John that maybe I could move it out a little bit, until I get the boat behind me out of the way, I'm not going to do that. Because there's a lot of times when I want to kind of scoot in here to get around this thing. So for now, that's good. I can pull a couple screws and move it. But yeah, I may adjust that later when I've got more room in here. But yeah, we're going to take another cut, I think. Whoops, missed it. Yeah, okay. I'm not so good at this whole... Yeah, that's why you need an actual eyedropper bottle kind of thing, or a little brush, which would be way better than just pouring it down your lathe. And I see already that I've gooped it all over the wood. Oh my god. I like to keep a nice clean shop. And I'm going to move stuff like this out of the way, because I have spinning objects here that could just wrap that shit up. So yeah, again, safety first. But yeah, a little bit of the alcohol, tobacco, and fire fluid. And we'll try one more cut. Maybe I'll try a facing cut, just for, try to face that off a little. Because, you know, we're here to show off anyway. So that's just barely touching it. Go a little more there. Okay, let's give her a go. I do like the speed of the lathe. It's probably, yeah, see, he's got the speeds here, so I'm guessing I'm at the max warp there, 1251. I'd be happy if it's pushing 900 RPM. Oh, fluid. Okay. Little squealing. I should probably have put this at an angle for a facing cut. It's definitely quieter. It's not like squealing mad, and so I like that. Happiness is a much quieter lathe. There was a bit of, a bit of noise there, but not quite the chatter that I had in some of my first attempts. Yeah, just instead of the brush, I'm just going to wipe that off quickly. I find I hope that my habits of essentially OCD, of kind of cleaning as I go, help lengthen the life of this old lady. She's definitely done some hard duty with what I think are the kicks, dropping the chuck right on the. Yeah, I mean, nobody writes machine shop on their motor if it wasn't a lathe that was, quote, in a machine shop. And I'm guessing a high school is probably one of the first owners of this thing. Wow, okay, so let me get the fluff off of there. And I'm gonna just grab my shop light. Okay, I got a fluff from the thing. There. Wow. It's a small piece. It's the only cold rolled steel I had in the shop. But yeah, if you can see that, that's, wow, that's a sweet, nice, smooth facing cut. There is a very tiny protrusion on the end of that. And any of the guys that are experienced will tell you that that is because my bit, the point of my bit, is not perfectly centered. It's damn close. But yeah, that's, other than the little, the tiny little knob on the end there, that's a pretty smooth facing cut. So this bit, although I think it needs more honing on that little diamond stone, honestly, just a couple minutes on that diamond stone, really helped. And I started with my shitty angle grinder, which I don't know if it helped or not. It certainly took the paint off real quick. So maybe that will be my plan. Just scrape the paint off with the grinder real quick and then do the actual sharpening by hand very carefully. Because the angle grinder, using it the way I did, I'll be honest with you, it was a little fucking scary. It was a little frightening. So I wouldn't recommend that to anyone, but I was kind of like, I just need to get started, you know. So maybe I'll take a pass on that. Have to give that some proper thought. Yeah, that whole thing could have gone wrong if the grinder had slipped, you know what I'm saying? Could have ate that tool post right in the face, or ate the little shank of the tooling myself, because I was just holding it in my hand. So if the grinder had slipped and kicked that thing up out of my hand, could have gone anywhere. And it's a pretty high-speed grinder, so yeah, probably not a good method to copy. So hopefully at some point I splurge on the $80 and get a proper bench grinder, which I'll probably mount sort of back here or on the other end, just to keep it out of the way. I'll cover it when I'm doing lumber on the little tiny saw there. Okay, this video is probably way too long, so I'm going to cut it here. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do a little more work on this. I'll grab another one of the new tools and work on that, and we'll come back to you later. But it's working much better, so I highly recommend not your ski version, but getting a real one of these, like a bigger one, if you want to hone your cheap Amazon or Harbor Freight for the U.S. guys, or wherever you get them for cheap. I got the whole set for like $30. So it's a joke how cheap they are. And as you can see, they will work. Eventually, I'll probably snap that off, but who cares? I'll just buy more, or I'll go to real tooling. All right.